All right, we're gonna start with the questions. First question would be, first of all, your name. Sorry, your name and position.
Chantel Angeletti, principal at Sulphur Springs.
Okay, all right. All right. So my first question would be, how do you view your role as a principal? How do you view that role?
How do I view the role as a principal? I first view myself as the instructional leader of the building, and then everything else follows behind. You have to learn how to delegate to make sure all facets are covered. So instruction, but also operations, discipline, all that. So you have to learn how to delegate. But also you're also the voice for all. So you're the voice for the children who sometimes don't have voices at the district level or at events. So you have to be the voice for the voiceless, or almost. You have to be the voice for your teachers at difficult times. You also have to be a support system for all.
Okay. And that's going to lead to my next question. What are your major functions, which pretty much you got into? If you could tell me what percentage of the time are you doing this? So what would you say?
So this year, I'm not doing what I normally would do. I like to do the 80-20, but this year has not been. That's been actually the opposite of being at this district. This year I've been doing a lot more human resources and strategic planning and filling in the gaps this year versus focusing with the instruction piece with the Diane Carey and following through. So that I'm able to do, like I'm planning with teachers after school even next week. But actually be able to do the true focus with fidelity, I've not been able to do it this year. Next year, I already have it mapped out exactly systematic what we're doing with the monitoring tool. So I will be able to get that 80% of my focus to be on instruction.
So for eight, so what would you say right now you are as data? What would you say right now as a percentage? Right, you
for instructional?
80, you want to be at 80 and 20. But
instructional,
right
I'm only like at 25 this year.
Okay, 25. So 75. Okay.
My team and I are about 45 together.
Okay. Okay. All right. So, what do you consider most important as far as your responsibilities that you want to accomplish this year? What do you
the most important?
Most important. Your most important responsibility that you want to accomplish.
The most important. There's two though.
Well, you put this cool.
There's two. One is to switch the image of the school and the public view. And the second is to make sure and ensure that I give my teachers the proper training and tools to learn how to plan with standard-based alignment.
Okay.
To ensure that all children
are
receiving differentiated instruction.
To get that image of Sulphur Springs, the negative image, negative picture, and
that tarnished image.
Yeah.
It's horrible, and it's not deserved, because it's just a diamond in the rough that needs to be shined.
Okay.
Our kids are awesome here, and people don't see it from the outside.
That is true. All right, next, what type of experience would best prepare somebody for a position such as yours, as far as a principal of this school, what type of school?
First, they would have to experience a low-need school to understand the systems and how to build relationships, different partners and different stakeholders. Because different relationships are different. They are different. You build different relationships with teachers versus staff, versus students versus parents versus political gain district. You have to learn how to build those relationships to build that foundation. You also have to learn how to build that foundation of instructional and how you guide it and how you monitor it.
So for instruction.
And so you need a low need school first to learn just the ins and out.
And
so you have time. Yeah. So at a low need school, you would have time to focus on crafting your skills, right?
Yep.
At a high need school, you already have those skills built, but you're putting out fires while still trying to do all the crafting that you do already behind. And if you didn't have that knowledge, you would never get nothing accomplished. You have to be highly organized and self-motivated. And you have to have a strong back, because you will work the hardest in a school like this, and it's the least thankless job.
Make sure I put that, please. Okay. Okay, so How many people are you responsible for?
110.
110.
810 adults and 862 students.
And you said how many adults again?
110 adults,
110.
862 students.
Okay, cool. All right. So what, as far as responsibilities, which kind of responsibilities would you delegate to your staff?
Discipline,
Discipline.
operations,
Ops.
I actually delegate different grade levels for them so they can prepare for their own future careers. So how I delegated Miss York K2, Copeland 3, 5, 6, 7 for Ridge. I do that so they can learn how to build relationships with different, because the kindergarten team has a different style than the first grade team. So they learn how to build those relationships. But I also delegate curriculum now, expertise.
In all of the grades, so you try to, okay.
So Miss York is in charge of ELA, Miss Copeland's in charge of math. So they can actually craft their content knowledge too.
And build growth. And, okay.
So you have Miss York is K2, but she's also ELA. You have Miss Copeland's 3-5, but she's also mathematics.
Okay.
You have Dr. Mathis, who's 6-7, civics and operations.
All right.
Yeah, you have to do that because you want them to learn under you. So then, if they need assistance, you're there to support them. But you don't want to just give them one grade level because they don't learn how to build those different relationships.
Okay. All right. So how does your role help with the district's goal? What do you do that align your goals with the district goals?
It's ensuring that all children are successful because we're trying to get that graduation rate up high, even though we will eventually have 8th grade, which will lead to the high school, which will then lead to the high school graduation rate.
All right. What impact does your position have on students? So how can you impact them the most from your position?
So there's a lot of impact. I set the climate and culture at this school. And there's building relationships even at this level. You have to build relationships with them.
Build?
Okay. Also, the student government and letting them have a voice in the upper grades. So when I meet with the student council, they feel that voice and impact, which I'm going to do something with them in 2 weeks from now, and they're going to be putting the Spring Fest together themselves. The impact on the students, I also have an impact on their actual instructional growth, their ABCs, the attendance, behavior, and
Conduct?
yeah, because I think, and curriculum.
Co-curriculum.
Yeah, the core curriculum, because I'm involved in the MTSS of any tier 2, tier 3 student, but you have to set those goals for every team. So I have Ms. Crivera working on the attendance, so any kid who has passed 10, we do home visits. Behavior, if they get more than 3 referrals, I'm trying to meet with them, or I have Mr. Kane or Ms. Hampton or the success coach, depending who. For core curriculum, for example, when one of my 7th grade boys was messing up in algebra, it really wasn't that he couldn't understand algebra, he just didn't know how to do long division. When I pulled him in here, taught him how to do that, he's now passing. So you have to get down to the student level.
Okay.
Well, you even know I was teaching in the classroom.
Yeah, I saw that. Yes, I
5th grade when you don't have a teacher.
Okay. How do you provide staff development for those teachers who are satisfactory and for those that are less than satisfactory? How do you provide?
Well, there's things that they could take at the district. There's also online courses and PD, but there's also peer-to-peer support.
Okay,
And there is 3 of them. They also are assigned a coach.
Yep.
And there's 3 that I meet with when they feel need to meet.
Okay. How do you perform teacher evaluations? How do you perform that?
What do you mean?
I mean, how would you go about grading a teacher?
So I do the actual show.
Yeah,
I do the Danielson. I follow the rubric to the T, but I also don't just look at one single data point. I do the observations, but for domain 4, I look at multiple data points. I don't look at just one thing because you can't in a high need school. You can't look at just one facet. You have to look at everything and what is that person doing to make sure the success of the child at the end of the day.
Okay.
Are they putting children first?
All right. So how do you allocate time to observe staff members?
Scheduling it. Scheduling and blocking out a calendar with my APs.
All right. What techniques do you use to assist borderline teachers to obtain satisfactory competency levels?
What are some of the techniques?
Some techniques, yeah.
Oh, okay. So, like, funny you say that. So when they're in here and we're doing like a debriefing of an observation,
Like a
I will
post-op.
post-op.
Mhm.
I will actually give them an article or a video, or I will actually show them some strategies in here in the conference. So I'll give them
So you
almost like
teach.
hands-on coaching.
Yeah.
But I'm also, if it's not a formal observation, I'm just an informal, I will do what's called whisper coaching. If the teacher is receptive to it, which some of my teachers really like that, and they've actually asked for it for next year too. And that's when you actually whisper right then there, and which is more powerful because if I write an email later, at no time will that teacher be teaching the exact same thing and that student be doing the exact same thing.
Mm-hmm.
So if you whisper coach, you're able to direct the teacher to support that learning that's
Right
happening
then,
right
right
then,
then, right
and
then,
guess
right
what? It happens.
I like that.
So I do a lot of whisper coaching,
Okay.
which has been very successful in 3 of the classrooms this year.
Okay. All right. So, what is the most rewarding part of your job? The most rewarding
Student success.
student success. Okay.
And them
Anything
knowing
else?
that they're successful.
Okay.
Teacher success.
Mm-hmm.
And the other thing is, honestly, one of my favorite things is, and you're gonna laugh at this, when you have an irate parent come in
Mm-hmm.
and you're able to get them from 10 to 1, and then you find out they really need a service or something and you're able to provide it to them. And if they didn't come in, that service would have never been provided.
True.
Like, for example, I had a parent today, came in, she was on 10, already called the area, everything else. And now they're gonna be a Success for Kids family. The whole family needs grieving
Yeah.
support. So that's very rewarding that I'm able to provide that entire family some grief support that they have not gotten closure with.
Okay.
So yeah,
That's good.
small stuff.
Okay. That's good. To what extent is public relations involved in your job? Public relations.
Yeah, very high.
Very high.
Always being viewed through a magnifying glass, and public relations can either make you or break you.
Mm-hmm.
Public relations is the one that can switch that image that I'm looking for.
And that's what I was going to talk
And
about.
they're also, it's the one that can also give me the money to help support the school with things that we need.
Okay.
Public relations can actually help you turn around a school.
Yeah. Okay. For the last question, do you have any recommendations for me as a potential administrator in terms of in terms of a plan for me? Do you have any recommendations?
Do I have any recommendations for you?
Mm-hmm.
When you first start, take it all in. And just remember to observe your first year and figure out, look at the systems that are working and look at the systems that are not. Don't try to fix everything in the first year.
I'll try to do that.
And don't listen to all the negativity, because no one's in your shoes. Because everyone, it looks easy when you're out there until you sit in here. The other thing is, the one thing I will teach my APs every year, and it doesn't seem right until you're in it. If you're ever a principal, always set up a hierarchy with your parents, and I mean that. So if I teach you anything, this is what I want to teach you. I have an irate parent, and they're right outside my door. I could take them. But our parents in this neighborhood feels like they have to keep getting moved up for their voices to be heard.
Mm-hmm.
So I will not meet with them right away. You would think, well, she could just go pull them in their office. That I could, but then that doesn't give them the feeling. The next person would be the area, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I will give them to my AP, unless I know there might be a violent one. There's 2 parents that I won't let them meet with because I know they could be violent.
Okay.
But I will automatically give them to my APs.
Okay.
So now they're on 10, but they're voicing this opinion, and now if they even get upset with my AP, they get bumped up to me. Them just getting bumped up makes them feel like they're important and their message is important enough to get bumped up. I had someone teach me that years ago. I never understood it at the point, but when you're in a turnaround school, in certain areas, you really need to have that hierarchy where they feel, because if you start with you, the only next person is the network or area. So you want them to feel like they're getting bumped up, moved up.
Okay.
So that's the
Like a
reason
chain, pretty much.
why you have to have the chain of command, and they feel like they're getting moved up. So no matter what, so my APs at first, that was a new adjustment, but they're like, we see how this works now. So even if there's being a lot of them, then I come and get them, they come down, you know, or I'll even come in at the end, or sometimes I don't even have to come at the end. They don't have to come to me. They get them okay, but it prevents. We have like, I think 89% less phone calls to the area this year than last year.
Okay.
And why? Because I've put that where they feel like their voices are being heard at multiple levels.
Okay.
It's very important. Like when I was the one getting thrown all the bad parents before as an AP, I was like, oh man, he just doesn't want to deal with them.
Yeah.
But then I realized there is necessary.
Chain.
There's a chain. It makes them feel like they are being heard.
Yeah.
It's a psych.
Well, I witnessed
It's all
it,
psyche.
Yeah, I witnessed that this morning with the parent in it. Yeah.
It's a psyche thing. It's a psyche
You know,
thing.
they have his voice recorder. We're gonna just
It's,
talk to somebody and
it's